The Train of the Undead. It was a cold, moonless night when Lucas, a thrill seeker with a penchant for exploring the unexplained, convinced his friends, Emma and Jake, to join him in investigating the legend of the Phantom Train. The old train yard on the outskirts of town had long been abandoned, its tracks overrun by weeds and rust. Locals whispered about a cursed train, eternally patrolled by the undead. "Come on," Lucas said, holding up his flashlight. "It's just an old train. The stories are meant to scare kids." Emma hesitated, clutching her coat tightly. "I don't like this. If it's so harmless, why does everyone avoid it?" "Because they're superstitious," Jake replied, though his voice betrayed his own unease. The trio made their way into the train yard, the creaking metal and the distant hoot of an owl amplifying the eerie silence. In the dim light, they spotted the train, an old, rusted relic with broken windows and a faded nameplate that read Midnight Express. Its presence was imposing, as though it carried the weight of countless untold horrors. "Let's get this over with," Emma whispered, stepping cautiously toward the train. Lucas climbed aboard first, his flashlight revealing dusty seats and cracked walls. The air was thick with the smell of mildew and something far more putrid. "Smells like something died in here," he joked, but no one laughed. As they moved from car to car, they noticed strange things. Claw marks on the walls, dried blood stains on the floor, and faint whispers that seemed to come from nowhere. "Did you hear that?" Emma asked, her voice shaking. "It's just the wind," Lucas replied, though he tightened his grip on the flashlight. Suddenly, the train jolted. The lights flickered, and a deafening screech echoed through the car. "What was that?" Jake yelled, looking around frantically. Before anyone could answer, a figure emerged from the shadows. Its rotting flesh hung loosely from its bones, and its glowing eyes locked onto them with unholy hunger. It let out a guttural growl, and more figures appeared behind it, all shuffling toward the trio. "Run!" Lucas shouted. They bolted through the narrow corridors, the undead closing in behind them. Emma tripped over a loose plank, and Lucas and Jake pulled her to her feet just in time. The zombies were relentless, their decayed hands reaching out, their moans filling the air. Reaching the final car, they found the emergency exit locked tight. "We're trapped!" Emma cried, tears streaming down her face. Lucas smashed the lock with a fire extinguisher he'd found, and they tumbled out onto the gravel below. But the danger wasn't over. The zombies began spilling out of the train, their numbers growing impossibly large. The trio sprinted through the yard, dodging debris and leaping over tracks. When they reached the edge of the train yard, the zombies stopped, as if bound to the cursed train. Turning back, Lucas saw the undead figures retreating into the shadows of the Midnight Express. The train let out a ghostly whistle and disappeared into the fog. Panting and shaken, they vowed never to return. But as they walked away, Lucas couldn't shake the feeling that the train and its undead passengers would always be waiting for their next unwelcome guests.